everyone. This is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. It is Tuesday after the debacle. I usually like to do a broadcast on the day after the game, but needed a day off after that disaster. Let's talk about the game. What happened? Is Dallas as good as they look, and are we as bad as we looked? Well, I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Our defense is terrible right now. We have a lot of young players. I think we had 7 or 8 players on the defense that this was their NFL debut, and I think we had like another 6 or 7 more that it was their Giants debut. So, I mean, that tells you something right there, that we got a lot of new talent on the defense. Good or bad, I do not know. I do know a couple things, though. Antonio Hamilton was with the team last year, strictly on special teams. He did not have a defensive snap last year. He had 20-something this game, and he looked god-awful. It is time to send him packing. I don't know if we can just cut him outright or just hopefully we just left him in Dallas, because he could not cover the slant, he could not cover the fade, he could not cover the fly, he didn't recognize coverages. Why we stuck with him so long, I have no idea. I know that DeAndre Baker was nursing injuries in training camp, and we kind of didn't know if the coaching staff didn't know if he could play the whole game. But you know what? What happened to Corey Ballantyne? Why couldn't we get him into the game besides returning kickoffs? I mean, Antonio Hamilton is not an NFL caliber cornerback. He's not a nickelback. He may be good on special teams, but after watching him in the preseason and watching him yesterday, oh God, it was just awful. DeAndre Baker, he did get burned from Amari Cooper, but it is Amari Cooper, so it is his first game as a rookie. He had fairly good coverage on Cooper until they broke in the end zone. But, you know, it's still, he is a rookie. He's got some talent. I'm not overly concerned with him. He missed a lot of training camp, so we kind of need to figure out, get him back into where the shape that we need him to be. Julian Love, he was playing in the safety position. What can we say about Julian Love? He did not play horribly, but again, like the linebackers, we could not figure out the slant. I mean, how, as an NFL caliber defense, you cannot figure out the slant? I mean, it boggles the mind that we're at the first week of the season and we're letting people just run clear across the middle. I mean, that's that. And then, it's funny. Peppers did not have a terrible game, which I found interesting because everyone's like, well, look at Landon Collins. Well, Landon Collins had a crap game for Washington as well, so we're not even looking at Landon Collins. Peppers did not blow the coverage on the Witten pass, and he also did not blow the coverage on the other pass to the other tight end. He did some good things, but you know what? Again, he was out of the positions a lot of the time. The linebacking cores, besides the defensive line, is concerning. I mean, Dave Davis, he should not be playing. They should put Ryan Conley in the game and keep him in the game. Ryan Conley was always around the ball, and he only had about 26 plays, which I find interesting as well. And he added the 2 plays for losses that the Giants had. Conley had one of them. He actually, and I'm not saying he's going to be, but he reminds me of Luke Kuechly. He really does. He's around the ball all the time. He's in the backfield. He should have had the sack on Dak, but he missed. He whiffed. But you know what? Again, he is also a rookie. And honestly, like I said, if we're looking at how he played fairly well. But again, that is not where all the issues really lie. The biggest issues that we run into right now, the defensive line. I have been saying since June maybe, that we do not have an edge. We do not have a pass rush. We drafted the X-Man, and he was supposed to come in, but we need a veteran presence. We need someone that can rush the passer. In the 3-4 scheme, I don't understand how we're playing Tomlinson, Lawrence, and then an edge. I mean, you can't. Think about the Giants going back to the 80s in their 3-4 scheme. You had Jim Burt up the middle. You had Leonard Marshall on one side, and you had George Martin on the other. So you had two true ends and a nose tackle. Then, of course, we had the linebacking cores of Banks, Carson, and Reasons, which is what we needed. You need those strong linebackers. It's linebackers that can not only tackle but rush the passer. We don't have that. We don't have that big presence. I know we just signed a guy from Pittsburgh. Again, he's going to be coming in, learning the system, another new cog, but we got zero push from the front of the line. I mean, it was almost disgusting to sit there and see how much time they had to throw the ball. At one point, I counted 7 seconds from Dak when he hiked it to when he was literally standing there waiting for someone to get open. And I don't care how good your coverage is downfield. If you have a wall of blockers in front of you and no one to dump the ball, you can't dump the guy in the backfield, we got problems. Can we fix this against? Well, let's get into the offense before we decide if we can fix the defense before Buffalo. The offense, the line looked good. There was a couple bad penalties by Will Hernandez again, but you know what? They held up well together. They played well together. They opened up the holes for Saquon. And let's get into Saquon for a second. How can you have Saquon Barkley only touch the ball like 12 times? The first series, I think he was involved in 7 carries, 7 plays, and we ran down and scored a touchdown. Now, I know we can't rely on him to carry the ball all the time, but he is 22 years old. We went away from him the second series, and I don't understand it because of the fact. Now, I understand we only had the ball 4 times in the first half. That's because the defense could not get anyone off the field. The offense played fairly well. The line held up against the pass. You did not hear DeMarcus Lawrence, not DeMarcus Lawrence, you know who I'm talking about, from Dallas, but you did not hear his name called once. Think about it for a second. So the line held up. Eli was able to throw. He did throw for over 300 yards. The wide receivers were not horrible. You did have the drop by Shepard in the end zone. That's neither here nor there. You make that play, you don't make that play. But if you make that play, it's a different game. But they weren't without Golden Tate. We were not horrid, which is interesting to say. Like I said, even Benny Flowers got into the game, did well. Ingram was fantastic. I think over the last 8 weeks of last season and into this season, or the last, I can't remember, it was 6 or 7 weeks, I don't remember. He was a top-rated tight end in the league. So, we have something there. And I really don't even count him as a tight end because of the fact that he's basically, a wide receiver playing in the tight end slot. So there's a mismatch right there. Even in the running game, they opened up huge holes for Saquon. And like I said, I don't understand why we got away from him in the second and the third series. I really don't. He's 22 years old now. I know he wasn't probably, people say, well, he's not in game shape. Well, that's the organization's fault for not playing him in the preseason, at least a couple snaps here and there. There's a difference between practice and game speeds. He did fumble. His first career fumble was on his first carry. Think about that for a second. He carried the ball over 300 times last year, never fumbled once. First play of the series, and he fumbles. Luckily Penny came in and saved us on that one, but we just got to think about that for a second. He really at that point in time, like I said, really that was the first hit or first action. So I think Saquon, of course, will be fine. I think the offensive line's going to be fine. Eli looked good. Eli played well. He moved in the pocket well. He found his, without any really complimentary receivers besides Shepard and Ingram. He really doesn't have a lot of targets. Again, he wasn't looking to dump off as much to Saquon as last year. And I think a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you get the ball to Saquon? Well, because last year you complained when he was checking down the Saquon. Now you're going to complain that he's trying to throw the ball downfield. So, you got to think about that. Which as a fan base, what do we want it to be? The play calling to me left a lot to be desired. I don't know if Shurmur needs to turn over the play calling to Mike Shula, but I can't see why we're sitting there and we're just, we're just kind of running the same. It reminds me of the first 7-8 weeks of last year. We ran Saquon in the beginning of the series. And then we left him alone for 2-3 series, and then we tried to go back to him again. We know we have in Saquon. Just run it. Saquon left, Saquon right, Saquon up the middle, Saquon out of the backfield. That's what I would do. We need a win. And I do think that the Buffalo game is a game that we can win. Can we fix our problems before the Buffalo game or during the Buffalo game? I really don't know, because honestly, that line was porous. I mean, it was hard to watch a Giant defense play that poorly. And I know some people are saying, well, back in 2007, we had those 3 bad games where we gave up like 125 points. Yeah, we also had Tuck, Umanora, Osi. We had Strahan. We had Antonio Pierce. We don't have those players here right now. You got to forgive me. I'm fighting a cold, so my voice is going in and out here. We don't have those players that we had back then. So, I mean, can we play well against Buffalo? Yes. I think Josh Allen of the Bills is probably one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks that I've ever seen. He does surprise you by hitting the plays deep, but I do think that he's got accuracy issues. The running game for the Buffaloes, I don't see us having a problem with. And I also don't see, I think this would be a good game to get healthy against their wide receivers on the defensive backfield. But, the question is, and it's the home opener, I'm hoping that we can just run the ball, keep the play action, play well, ball control, kind of go from there and try to keep the defense off the field. I mean, it used to be funny in the 80s. The Giants Giants defense used to come off the field and tell the offense, you hold them, we'll try to score. And, and it's almost the opposite now. It's let's keep the offense on the field as long as we can, because we have a feeling that they're going to score on the defense as quickly as possible. But I think for any game for us to get healthy on right now, it's going to be the Buffalo game. We are definitely going to be there on the Buffalo game. We're going to shoot some video. We're just broadcasting from that game, so that'll be fun. We're going with a nice group of fans, so we're going to have an interesting time when we're talking to the fans again out there. But like I said, let's wait and see what happens. I'm not hitting the panic button on the season yet. At least not yet. We'll see after week 3. I know some people are still like, well, it's all Eli's fault. But again, it's not Eli's fault. Eli did not cause the problems yesterday or 2 days ago. He was not the cause or the root of all evil right now, like everyone like to think he is. But we kind of just have to wait and see. Daniel Jones, he got some valuable game time, 3 for 4 with a fumble. Again, he's got to learn ball protection. It reminds me of an early Phil Simms who had the same type of fumbling issues. So we just kind of have to wait and see. But let's see how they regroup. Let's see how they practice. And let's just kind of see how the first couple series goes on Sunday. And I am predicting that the Giants are going to win 21-17. I got predicted right last week. I didn't say they were going to get blown out, but I did say we were going to lose. But I said we by 2 touchdowns, but I didn't think we were going to have and I have to give Dallas credit, and I hate to do that, but they let off the gas towards the end. That score could have been like the Miami game. Josh Garrett really did, he didn't rub it in. He didn't run it up. So you got to give Dallas credit for that at least, I guess. But beyond that, let's just see and focus on how we can fix the defense. I think the offense is going to be fine until Golden Tate comes back. But let's figure out how we can get even when we were rushing the corners, we're bringing a corner blitz. We couldn't get penetration. I mean, it was – he threw for 400 yards. I probably could have thrown for 300 behind that line. So, but you know what? It's game 1. We got 15 more games to go. It's a long season. It can't – like 2007, like people mentioned, we can't turn it around. So let's just kind of go from there and see how it works out. But like I said, I do think we're going to win next week. I think we're going to – figure out a way to do it for the home opener. And like I said, hopefully we're going to see you there tailgate in the parking lot. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Thank you.